Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Thundercast. We have the class of 4A state championship winning head coach in baseball from Lake Central. How are you doing on this fine evening?
Good, good. How are you? Thanks for having me. Doing fine. Couldn't be better. Good mood right now.
Oh yeah, I can tell because of the state championship win.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm doing fine. So okay, let's start things off. What was your highs and lows like from this season?
Oh, well, the lows were the beginning. We didn't start very well. It's been pretty well documented up here. We were 8-6 at one time, and we had some games in there that were, I'll be honest, were just bad. We had a game early against Valparaiso in a conference where I think we walked like 12 guys. I think we hit like 5 or 6 guys and made about 5 errors in a game. We got 10 runs, and it was, the communication from me to the players after the game was, I'll be quite honest, probably some of it I can't repeat. It was pretty. I'm pretty blunt, pretty honest. I think I used the word disgrace and embarrassing and things like that, and maybe a few others. But um, we talked to our guys about, especially our seniors. Hey, at some point, if we don't get this turned around, we're going to go young. And our seniors kind of had a meeting, kind of made it plain and simple that they weren't going to let this happen. And ever since that point, they kept buying in and trusting the process, all those cliche things, and the underclassmen kind of fell into line, and we started playing better. And when you play better, you get confident, and when you get confident, who knows what happens. And we were playing. Obviously, we had a nice tournament run, but we've been playing well for a little bit before that. We finished. I think ended up winning our last 14 and counting the 7 in the state tournament, and I think we were 20-2 in our last 22. So obviously we got things turned around. That's not easy to do, and but thankfully we had a strong six senior class, six seniors, and they kind of guided this ship a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, what was the turning point of the season? Like from the beginning, from the first half of the season when you guys went 8-6, like to the back half of the season, like when you guys went on to state. What
Yeah,
was the turning point?
yeah. I think, like I said, I think it was the seniors. Just kind of letting it be known that, hey, this is how this season is going to go. As far as on the field performance, we didn't field it very well early in the year. We didn't. Our pitchers weren't throwing strikes. It was it just, and if you don't field it and can't throw strikes, you're gonna have trouble beating anybody. And then, I think we returned like 6 innings on the mound from last year. We had 13 seniors and 25, and so we knew there'd be some growing pains. And then, our guys just kept working, and once they got a little confidence, a little experience, and got comfortable out there, they started throwing strikes. We didn't have an overpowering staff this year like we've had in the past, so we had to kind of, we weren't going to survive if we didn't throw strikes, because we're not going to go out there and, um, like in past years where maybe you walk a few guys, you can go out and get some swings and misses and strikeouts. That wasn't what our staff was going to be this year. So once we got that figured out, the pitching straightened out a little bit and started fielding the ball. I thought our offense would be good all year, and it got off to a slow start, but it really started picking up, and was definitely one of the strengths of our team going down the stretch.
Yeah. So, uh, so, uh, so the cool thing. Okay. Before we get into the other question, so the cool thing for you guys, which I didn't realize until I saw something online, but but you guys, as in Lake Central, not just baseball, but baseball, softball, won the same state championship.
Yeah, I think.
Eh, eh,
Yeah,
yeah.
sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh, my bad. But same state championship in the same year, which would which I'd say that is really rare because Lake Central is the only it is the third team to
Right.
do that.
Right. Yeah.
Like yeah.
Yeah. That's I believe New Palestine
Mm-hmm.
did it several years ago, and I believe Penn did it within the last few years. I think
Yeah.
either 22 or 23. But yeah, as good as we've been in baseball recently, and well, more than recently, when I got here, I didn't take over a program that wasn't at a high level anyway. But softball team, you know, is off the charts. As far as talent, I think they lost 2 games this year,
Mm-hmm.
right at the end. They've got Division I players all over the place. They do year in and year out, and um, I sure wouldn't want to scrimmage them ourselves. They may take it to us. So yeah, they're very talented. So yeah, that was that
Mm-hmm.
was that was pretty fun the last few weeks for our school with both teams being able to do that.
Now, so the one thing, so I don't think anybody's talking about this, but so I am a big guy. So I'm a big fan like of all the conferences, like of
Sure.
all the conferences and the conference changes stuff. So I think it's really cool that both state championship winning teams for Lake Central this year, both softball and baseball, actually played a now former Conference Indiana squad. Terre
Yeah.
Haute North softball, Bloomington South, and baseball.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, now I do have to say, like that is one way. That is one way I'd like to finish off Conference Indiana right there. Uh, Having two of their teams like make state like in 4A baseball and softball.
Yeah.
But
I didn't realize
mhm.
that, but now that you said that, yeah, that is true. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So is Conference Indiana? Is that no longer, or is it
uh,
still going? Still exists, right? Even after this year.
pretty sure Conference Indiana imploded.
Okay. All right.
Because so Conference Indiana like was dying like ever since Franklin Central and Perry Meridian left.
Right.
But just my senior year of high school, like so I graduated class of 2025. But just my senior year of high school, we saw Bloomington North join my conference, like the mid state.
Yeah.
Uh, and then we saw both Terre Hautes leave to go to the Sagamore. But I'm pretty sure with those moves, plus the other thing is too is that in 2027, Bloomington South is joining the Hoosier Hills.
Okay. All right.
But I'm pretty sure that when Bloomington North and the Terre Hautes left, I'm pretty sure that pushed Columbus North South. I'm pretty sure that moved Columbus North and Southport out of that conference back to like independent. So
Okay.
I'm pretty sure Conference Indiana is not running anymore.
All right. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm learning. You're educating me here tonight.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what now? I can see why. Now I can see why because you are in Northern Indiana.
Right.
Like in Conference Indiana is just Southern Indiana schools.
Right. Yep.
But
So yeah,
yeah,
coach, I've coached all over the state, so I try to keep up. I didn't know
no,
that, but I'm pretty aware of schools in southern, central, northern. I
yeah,
keep up with it pretty tight. So
yeah. So okay, so now the final few parts of Lake Central. So after your state championship win back in 24, how difficult was it to adjust without Griffin
um,
on the mound?
it was different. We were fortunate that year because he got drafted by the Brewers, Milwaukee Brewers, and
Mm-hmm.
Blake Seaback was actually the winning pitcher in the state game. He pitched the last
Yeah.
three and 2/3, 3 1/3, whatever it was, and he was really good too. So we lost both those guys, but we had Josh Flores, who was our number 3, and he was drafted by the Brewers after the 25 season, lead arm, mid 90s. Not quite the control that Sevac and Tobias had, but definitely overpowering. We had Luke O'Keefe, who was our number 4 coming back. So we knew we'd be pretty good. Um, it just, we ran into Crown Point in the sectional
Mm-hmm.
championship. It was a tight game till late, and then they kind of opened it up in the late innings. But we had a good year, 25-6. We just, it just wasn't meant to be. I thought our kids did a great job of buying into, having that target on your back you're going to have that, we're going to have again is in 27,
Yeah.
obviously. But, as far as preparing and working and competing and things like that. So, but yeah, I mean, he's one of my favorite. I've been a varsity coach 29 years. He's one of my all time favorite kids. It's not just because he could pitch and play and just because of the type of kid he was. Great human being, team first. He had scouts after scouts all spring in that 24 season, and
Mm-hmm.
it was all about LC baseball. He blocked all that out. A lot of those situations, I'm sure. He's worried about his draft status and this and that, but his number one goal was to try to get us a state title. So,
Yeah.
but just his leadership and his performance obviously is going to be hard to replace no matter what you have coming back next year, no doubt about it.
Yeah. So, yeah, okay. So the first thing is, I did not know, I did not realize, like another Lake Central guy went to the Brewers. I did not realize, I did
We've
not
had
realize.
we 3 years in a row we had guys go to the Brewers. So in 23, uh, 23 May, and I hope anybody watching this that's LC people, 23 is probably the best collection of talent I've coached at Lake Central. We got beat by Penn in the semi-state. We had the bases loaded, no outs, bottom of the seventh, down a run. We had the middle of our order up, which was elite, and we didn't score. We got beat, and Penn ended up winning the state. But Josh Adamchevsky was on that team. He was an infielder. He got drafted. He's now in Double A for the Brewers, and he's one of the top 100 prospects in Major League Baseball right now. He's just been fantastic. Then Tobias got drafted in 24, and then Flores in 25. So that was 3 years in a row. It's pretty cool.
I, 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 I find that interesting that the Brewers that the Brewers actually like your guys.
Yeah, and it was the same. It's funny. The same scout. Um, her name is Ginger. I can't remember her last name, but she followed us for 3 years in a row. She was at more Lake Central baseball games than a lot of our fans probably.
Dang,
Yeah.
that's crazy. So, so what's the update like on? So what are the updates like on Griffin, like in Flores?
All right. Well, unfortunately, they are both going through some arm issues. Um, so they're kind of on a pause right now. So, and as a coach, I always worry, did we have something to do with it? But then I've also thought, I don't think so. I've always tried to baby arms more than I've tried to push them. But, I've always believed with pitchers, it's not necessarily
Hmm.
if, but when they're going to have some type of issue with the arm. It's just, especially as hard as guys throw now. I mean, you got hundreds of high school kids probably in Indiana getting close to 90, probably 50 at least. You see it on
Hmm.
PBR and stuff like that, and it's just probably going to happen at some point. And I wish those guys the best. I know they'll work hard to get back from
Hmm.
their arm issues, but um, I think they're both obviously still young in their pro careers. They've got time to bounce back from stuff, and I'm looking forward to see their progress. So
Yeah. Yeah. So I do have to agree. So I'm agreeing like uh, uh with that whole thing. Like it's not an if, like it's a when the pitcher get has an issue.
yeah, yeah,
Uh, uh, Now I have experience with that. Like our pitcher
okay,
Hudson Devon
yeah,
got hurt.
He didn't
Yeah.
pitch a lot this year, did he?
So, so he didn't pitch a lot. Okay, he pitched. Okay, he only pitched like the conference games,
Okay.
but he's had this issue like pretty much all year long. Like pretty much all year long. Like the back tightness issue,
Yeah.
but it just got really bad. Like at Franklin and then after that, and then after that, like was just the waiting game.
Right.
But we actually had to, but we ended up having to shut him down, uh,
Yeah.
like to save him.
Sure.
So yeah, so he was selected for the draft combine. I
Oh,
don't know if he's gonna throw at the combine,
okay. Okay.
but
We had
but I
we had a
know.
couple guys up here going to that. The catcher from Crown Point, Dunlap, I think he's going, and then
Hmm.
the shortstop at Hanover Central,
Hmm.
Bowen, Dylan
Yeah.
Bowen. I believe he's going as well. So
Yeah, and yeah, and I was actually just a little bit shocked about this because this guy isn't really high in the draft rankings, but apparently Gannon Grant like is also going to the draft combine.
yeah, from Central.
So
Yep.
yeah, yeah. So I do think I do think Gannon will be drafted this year because
Yeah. I
uh,
would, oh yeah.
uh, uh, well, to be honest, I mean, to be honest, he was the best player in the state this year because Gatorade Player of the Year.
Yeah. Yeah.
But uh, but yeah. All right, so that's enough from the Lake Central stuff. On to you personally.
Okay.
So, what teams have you coached?
All right. So I was at I started in pretty much right out of college. I got I actually sent out this is before I'm going to show my age here a little bit. I sent out of college like actual written letters to almost every high school in Indiana because there wasn't really a place at the time that I knew of where you could find job postings. So I just
Mm-hmm.
started sending stuff out to schools, my resume, references, that type of stuff. And I got like three or four back about openings. And one of them was North Posey, which I've heard of. It's down in southwest Indiana. 2A school, little rural school,
Mm-hmm.
um, close to Evansville, to give you some context. Um, Interviewed there, liked it. They were looking for a baseball coach as well as a business teacher. That's what I teach. And they offered me the job. I took it. The only stipulation there was they had a guy on staff that had coached baseball before. He was the girls basketball coach. They wanted him to do the baseball for 1 year, me serve as the JV coach, just to kind of get my feet wet with the whole teaching and community thing, and with the understanding after 1 year it would be mine, and that's how it worked. And so I started as varsity coach in 1997. Head coach there through 2008. We were fortunate enough to make the state finals in 2000. We won the state at North Posey in 2005 and 2006. As a young coach, I thought, okay, now I got to go to a bigger school.
Mm-hmm.
I got a little arrogant. Needed to see what I could do against, bigger schools, I guess. So I had looked. Martinsville came open, and you may not know this, but I was at Martinsville from 2009 to 2015. Um, and it was a great experience. We didn't have the success there that we've had at North Posey or that we've had here at Lake Central. A lot of good people there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just for whatever reason, I'm not blaming anyone. I guess I'll blame myself. It was the baseball part of it was almost like trying to put a square peg in a round hole as far as the way I like to do things and my coaching philosophy and things like that. Um, so there I got out. I actually got out and just took a year off to kind of decide what I wanted to do. And obviously, after a year or so, I knew I still wanted to coach. I thought I could still do it. I had a passion for it. I applied at Lake Central. They had a business opening. I knew about their history, the success they've had, and
Mm-hmm.
just so happened I got an interview. I guess it went well enough. They offered me the job, and I've been there ever since. So 2017 is when I started at Lake Central.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, nice. So, okay. So the question. Okay, now the question is. So, uh, so for you personally at Lake Central, uh, so are the only two? Like, so do you only have two state championships with LC?
Yeah, so I had two at North Posey and two at Lake Central. So,
Yeah.
and I found out, I didn't know this going into the 2024 game against Mooresville, that if we won, I would be the first coach in Indiana history to have won state titles at two different schools, which I found was actually pretty cool. I was shocked that no one else had done it, to be honest, but so that
Mm,
was pretty neat. Yeah,
I am really shocked. I am really shocked, like that you're the only coach like to do that.
yeah, I was too. I thought for sure there'd been at least one, if not more, that
Yeah,
had done that, but
yeah, it, yeah, yeah, y, 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 yeah. That's actually kind of crazy.
yeah.
So, yeah. So what? Okay, what? Okay, your time at your time as a coach.
Uh-huh.
So, okay, your time as, if I can think about it correctly, but your time as coach. So, what years like were your favorite years to coach?
Oh my, putting me on the spot here.
Hmm.
Um, I've enjoyed the whole ride. You have ups and downs as coaches. I obviously 2000 sticks out. It's the first time I took a team to victory field. Um, the five and all the state championship teams are special. Um, you know, it's uh, it's hard to pinpoint one. It's been more about, for me anyway, just the relationships with players. And when we won the other night, I get obviously we celebrate and stuff, and I finally get my phone out on the bus ride home, and I had like 86 text messages, and I'm not a big texter,
Yeah.
so that was like, I spent really all day Sunday on the phone texting people back and forth, and people
Mhm.
who played for me 20 years ago, kids that played for me 20 years ago, 10 years ago, parents of kids, current people I know up here. It was, so
Mhm.
it's really, nice to know that you had some impact maybe in their lives, whether it was small or big. And that's really the most important thing, that you hopefully impact these kids in a positive
Mhm.
way, and kind of teaching from taking from young men to grown men at some point. So I can't really pinpoint one. Just it's been fun. I would say probably some of those early years when you're first doing stuff are really special. And to be honest, there's a huge gap between 2006 and then winning it in 2024. So you always have doubts as a coach. Are you or what you is the way you're still running things? Does it work? Can you win? That type of stuff. So having that big a gap and then being able to win in 24 was special. Kind of get over the hump, because we'd had some really good teams up here and just hadn't been able to kind of knock the door down, so to speak. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like I have to agree with that. So, okay, so so before the last question, so walk me through like walk me through like like how tough it was coming from the regular season to the postseason, like all the way to state this year through state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, we're in a sectional with, we got a 5-team sectional, and it was Hammond Morton, um, Hammond Central, which, they've got good coaching staffs, good
Hmm.
kids, but they're, right now probably not at the level of where we're at and where Munster's at and Crown Point. But we do have Munster. Munster, I think, was number 5 in the final poll. Crown Point was number 2. We weren't ranked, even though we did finish strong. I think we
Hmm.
finished 21-8, which is not bad. But so we had Munster right out of the chute. Sectionals at Crown Point. They had beaten us earlier in the year, 2-1 in 8 innings. In a game that we were 2 strikes away 2 different times from beating them, and we let it get away. So we thought we could compete with them. We knew we'd have to play well. Um, so we got out in that game 3-0, first inning. And big crowd. Obviously, we're rivals, and
Hmm.
so it was kind of like a boxing match. We got punched in the mouth pretty quick, and so we responded. We kind of pecked away the first few innings, and then we just kind of exploded. We ended up 10 running them in 5 innings, 13-3. So then we got Morton in game 2. We 10 run that one, and then we had Crown Point, who was, like I said, number 2 in the state, loaded with talent. Coach Strayer does a great job with them. And it's at Crown Point, the sectional as well. So we had a lot of things kind of working against us. Another big crowd, as we're rivals with them as well. And, we got out early, and, um, you know, and during the season, we beat them at our place 4-1, and then we had them beat at their place the next night in conference. That's how we do our conference back-to-back nights. And
Yep.
we kind of blew a lead late. So we thought we could compete with them as well. But we knew we had to play well. We played really well. We kind of split our pitching up. As I mentioned earlier, we're not overpowering. We don't have we've got good pitchers, but we don't have guys that are going to go blow guys away with the fastball. So we
Hmm.
thought Crown Point was too good to just let him see a guy 3 or 4 times through the order. So we kind of split it up. It turned out to work. We won 4-3. So that was, right there, you beat top 5 teams. So now you're thinking, okay, well, let's see how far we can take this. So we played Goshen in the regional at South Bend, and we had beaten them a couple weeks earlier in our next to last regular season game. We traveled over there and we beat them, but we knew that they were pretty senior heavy. And they had gotten to the final game of the semi-state the year before. They had knocked off Penn and Westfield, and Valpo beat them to get to the state finals. Um, so we knew they were talented, but again, we played fantastic. Our pitching was good. We hit the ball all over the place. We 10 run them, and then now you're down to 8 teams. So now anything can happen. You know that. So we
Hmm.
get Zionsville in the first game of semi-state, which I have a ton of respect for. Um, they scored 4 in the first on us. We came right back and got 4 in the first, had a 5-4 lead through most of the game. They took the lead, and then we got 2 in the bottom of the seventh, winning it on a walk-off base hit. And then we had Penn in the evening, who we play in a doubleheader during the season. We had split with them. And Penn's kind of been our, I don't know, they've kind of been our kryptonite to Superman. They knocked us out in the regional in 17, the regional final in 22, and the semi-state in 23. They've been kind of the one obstacle we hadn't been able to get past, and we played great again. We saw their number one guy who's going to Purdue, and again, we had a good offensive game. We won 6-2, and then you're playing for the state finals. We were kind of following, that semi-state down south as we were kind of getting through things up north here, and we were surprised Center Grove lost.
No, no.
I know Evansville North's very good, but Center Grove looked like they were destined to go out and win that state title this year, and but baseball, it's one and done, and it's you have an off game, and Not that they did, not that North can't beat them. North's very good, but you just never know. Bounce of a ball, a bad call from an umpire, whatever it may be. So we followed that, and then the championship game was crazy. Bloomington South got no hit and still beat North 1-0. You don't see that very often. So, but we had watched Bloomington South. We'd watched several of their games, on YouTube or IHSA TV, and I know Coach Klusner from my time at Martinsville. Respect the heck out of him and his program. I knew they'd be well prepared, and I knew we'd have to play well this past Saturday to beat them, and we just kind of continued what we've been doing: good pitching, good defense, timely hitting, and fortunate enough to win again.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So now the last question: your time as your time as a coach. Uh, okay. Okay. So this last question. Okay. This last question. So I ask every coach, every manager, and every player. What are your top stadiums uh, like
Okay.
you've coached at?
Okay. So uh, Victory Field's got to be at the
Hmm.
top of the list just because that's the pinnacle of Indiana high school baseball. Once you get there, you're playing for a state title. So I would put that at the top of the list. We played it. This is the first time we had played at um, where the South Bend Cubs play. I don't know if you've been there, but
No.
fantastic facility. We played in the regional there. We've played at Railcats Stadium in Gary a couple times now. That's where our semi-state was. We played the regional there in 24. All minor league parks, so obviously they're all a little bigger. Um, more
Hmm.
seating, bigger fields, bigger dimensions. But those are always fantastic because you don't get to play in those much during the regular season. So it's always nice for the kids to get out there and play on those. And plus, usually when you're in those stadiums, you're playing in big ball games, important ball games. As far as up here goes, Laporte is very nice. It's still kind of old school, grass, dirt. They take great care of it. They host a ton of regional semi-states up in the north. Fantastic facility. Um, that's a good one. I know when I was down south, Bossy Field in Evansville was great. League Stadium in Huntingburg, which they actually built for the movie A League of Their Own with Madonna and about women's baseball. Tom Hanks was in that movie. They built that stadium. It's a great ballpark as well. Jasper, I don't know if you've ever been to Jasper. Jasper's high
Hmm.
school field is fantastic. A lot of tradition there. So I guess those would be some of them. And of course,
Um.
home field as well, Lake
Yeah.
Central.
Um. For me,
Yeah, what are yours?
so, uh, so, uh, uh, okay, my time as okay, I managed Plainfield baseball my freshman year, and I
Okay.
was just now the volunteer coach this year at Mooresville. But my time there, like my top five. It so if I remember correctly, let me go back to my post because I posted like my top five. I mean not my top five, but I posted like my top fields.
Okay.
So my top fields, if I can get to it. Oh yeah. So my top fields. So this is my top nine, like the nine fields I went to, minus Mooresville, minus Covenant Christian, and minus Plainfield. Jasper is at number one.
Yeah, it's a good one. Really good.
Now the cool thing for me is now I don't think you've been there now with their turf.
I've seen it, but that
Yeah,
was one of the games we scouted with Bloomington South. We saw it, and I knew they had gone to turf. But yeah,
yeah, yeah. Jasper has really nice turf. Then at number two is Whiteland,
yeah,
which
played there. Yeah,
uh,
or
now
coach there.
yeah,
Yeah,
well, you were there.
I was at Martinsville. Sure, we played them in the conference. Yeah.
Yeah. But I say Whiteland at number two because they have really good looking turf. Then like the number three like is Franklin because they have really good turf. And
See, all these were grass and dirt when I coached at
Mm-hmm.
Martinsville, so they've all changed. And I
Yeah,
haven't been to Franklin in a while.
yeah. Now, and I have Decatur at fourth. They do have a turf field, but they actually have a brand new field.
Okay.
So they built their so they built this field actually just behind like the old field, like the
Okay.
old varsity
Yeah,
field.
I know where that is. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's really nice. Then then running out the top five is Martinsville.
Okay.
Which now Martinsville does have turf now, but yeah, that's running out the top five. Then the grass school, like then the rest of them, Cathedral at six,
Haven't been
Evansville,
there. We play Cathedral. They usually come up to us for in our tournament, but I
yeah,
haven't been. So that's a good one. Yeah.
Now I had to say that I do have to say that Cathedral's field like is now the only part I hate about that field is that it has no lights.
Okay.
They have no lights there, but they have really nice bathrooms. They have now they have really great dugouts.
Yeah.
Like they have two sections of the dugout, and like one section like is still not covered, but then the second section like you go down the steps into the underground portion like under the seats and stuff,
Yeah.
facing the field and stuff. And I know that most of our guys actually call that like the dungeon. Because
Yeah.
because it actually because it looked like a dungeon.
Yeah.
Then Evansville North at seven because I went down to Evansville because we went down to Evansville North this year to
Okay.
play
Do they have turf now?
no,
Still
they
grass.
don't have
Yeah, it's
turf.
been a long time since I've been there. When I was at North
Yeah,
Posey, we played at Evansville North, but it's been a while.
yeah, yeah, uh, yeah, but we played Gibson Southern like in Evansville North,
Yeah. Yeah.
and like I was just talking to their coach last night, and this is pretty much every single year. They've tried everything, but every single year, like they have to for their home dugout, like they have to pretty much, I think once a week power wash it because they have a bird problem in their dugout. So their whole dugout like is just covered with bird poop. Which
I've never
well
encountered that. That's a new one, but
no.
yeah, that would be a problem for sure.
Well, it was definitely a problem because it was definitely a problem because I was there because our first game against Gibson Southern, like us, Mooresville actually used Evansville North's home dugout,
Sure. Yeah.
and then at number eight, like is Holder Field, new Holder Field, Perry Meridian / Southport.
Haven't been there.
Well, okay, so part of the reason why you haven't been there, like, is because Perry Meridian was not in the mid-state like when
Correct.
you coached at Martinsville because they joined like the year after you left Martinsville.
Okay.
But no, no, wait. So okay, my years mixed up. So okay, what year did you leave Martinsville?
I left Perry Marin. We didn't play them.
Mm-hmm.
They my last year at Martinsville. Let's see, had to have been 2015.
Oh, oh, okay. So then your second year, like at Lake Central, like is when Perry joined the mid-state. Then I don't know if you've ever been there here, but at number nine I have Avon.
I have been there. Yeah,
Yeah,
I like it. Yeah, it's a good one.
yeah, yeah, uh, yeah. I have Avon like at number nine.
Okay.
Cause yeah. See, see, see. The good thing for me the cool thing for me is uh, is that since I'm down here down south, uh, like I've been I've been to I've been to really good fields, like, and I've been to a lot of turf fields.
Yeah.
Uh, like there's a lot of teams. I mean, it seems like that more teams down south like is getting turf.
Yeah. Here's I don't know. if this is fact. I think it's pretty close. So I started at Lake Central in 2017, and Lake Central had had turf 2 years already. We were the only, by far, the only team up here, and the only other school I think that had it in Indiana at the time was maybe, I believe, Chittard. Maybe, does that sound right?
Chittard, I don't know if they have turf.
Am I thinking? I'm pretty sure it's one of the private schools in Indy. It may not be Chittard, but I somebody had it um, before Lake Central. But we were the first. Like now up in our area, everybody's got it. But we had it. We've had it since 2015, so we've had it for a long time.
I had no clue. I had no idea that Lake Central had turf.
Yeah,
I uh, I was thinking that Lake Central was a grass school. No, I guess not. I guess not. Now I do have to say I am a huge fan of schools getting turf
yeah,
because there are a lot of schools that really need turf,
yeah, yeah,
and and that came into like fruition this year, just this year, like with all the rain we got,
yeah, yeah.
because because the cool thing this year for the mid state, like this past season, was every team but Greenwood had turf.
Okay,
With and I know Greenwood had lost some home games
okay, yeah,
because of their field.
yeah,
And like when Mooresville played them, like we had to play in a doubleheader. Like the doubleheader was scheduled for there, and I can tell you, every one of our coaches were trying to get it moved here, which we did end up playing here because
right.
there. But we were trying not to play there, not because of the travel, but because their field was soaked. And by
Yeah,
soaked, and by soaked, like I'm pretty sure like that their field was flooded
yeah, yeah.
because they yeah
Greenwood. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep.
yeah yeah. But the good news is next year but next year every team's gonna be having turf with Bloomington North like replacing Greenwood. So
Okay.
yeah. Well, that will do it for today's Thundercast. Thank you for joining, and yeah, coming
Thanks
up
for having
tomorrow. Yeah, no problem. But coming up tomorrow from Zionsville, Andy Weaver is joining, and the next week, John Easter from Ben Davis is joining, plus maybe a couple more guests. I don't know. I'm still working on that. Thanks for joining, Mike, and
Thanks for having me.